Hey there, hope you're doing well. In this video, I want to talk about monolithic applications versus microservices. I may have done a video on something related to this a long time ago, but what I'm going to talk here is actually maybe it is quite different from what I talked about in that video from probably a year ago. If you haven't seen that one, certainly do check that out as well. And remember to sign up on snowpal.com, download the mobile app from the app or Play stores, and manage your projects. Whatever your next project is, just consider doing it on snowpal.com. We have a ton of features geared towards facilitating doing just that, right? Just optimally managing projects at home or at work or at school or college, wherever. Now let me get to the topic, which is monolithic apps versus microservices. And again, you can Google this up just like you can Google everything else up. But sometimes, watching someone speak to it out of experience is a little bit easier. You understand, it resonates with you, and maybe it's sometimes entertaining as well. So, and maybe you learn a little bit more than you already know. So again, back to what I was trying to say. Let's define what these are, because maybe it's obvious to you, maybe it's not, but it may not be obvious to everybody. Also, these definitions kind of vary, so I want to just say what I think of them and talk more about it. Monolithic application, let's take an example so we can tell the difference. Let's say you're building an application for a hotel. I'm just going to take a random example. As always, I don't particularly come prepared to doing these videos, so it's whatever comes to my mind. So let's say you're building an app for, hopefully some of these examples are not stupid. So let's say you're building an app to manage a hotel, right? Let's take a smaller hotel or a motel. It's got 150 rooms, and someone says, here, you're the IT provider, do whatever it takes to automate everything that we do, right? Let's get going. Now, a hotel, again, I actually studied hospitality management like a long time ago. I enjoyed 2 years in Houston, but I don't know a whole lot about it because I've never done any real work outside of these examples in hospitality management. Now, let's say to manage a hotel, but let's say even if I don't know anything else about a hotel, you know that you can go in, you can check in. There's a front desk. They give you your room number, your key. You go to your rooms. There are a number of rooms in a hotel. There's a bar. There's if it's a full-service hotel, it's got a restaurant, or at least you have vending machines. You have whatever else, right? You have probably a security department that takes care of making sure the facility is secure, like physical security. Then you have sounds, lights, and all of this facilities management. Then you have the laundry, housekeeping. So these are different departments, right? I'm sure I missed a bunch of them, but at a high level, these are different departments. Now let's say what could be a monolithic version of solving this hotel software problems. You can create one big app that the employees of the hotel sign into, and then there are multiple pages, lots of pages. One for housekeeping, one for front desk, one for hotel, one for the vending machine or whatever, one for rooms and check-in, and all of those things that we talked about, or parking, valet, different kinds of pages that each employees, depending on the department they work, and they end up going to those pages, or they only have access to those pages, and then they start using it being productive, right? A monolithic application is one where you build it and you deploy it as a single package, and everything is integrated into that single application. So it could be a huge application. A lot of times they're really, really big. So what that means is, even if you're making some improvements to the front desk service, you have to now, again, let's go step by step. Again, monolithic applications they come in a wide variety of, there's a wide variety of differences. But let's say you're making an improvement, a bug fix or an enhancement to the front desk service. Your front desk software team is going to make some code changes, and now they're going to push those changes, and it's likely that they're pushing that into the same repository, right? Either it's literally the same repository, or it's a repository that sits separately, and then it gets plugged into this larger repository. Now that makes its own that establishes differences even within the monolithic world. But regardless, let's say they make those code changes, they check into that repo, and then your DevOps team picks it up. The whole thing is, you have to create a new build, and then you're going to push it to production. Now, pushing it to production, again, if you most likely, if it's a monolithic application, you're pushing this whole app to production, even though the change actually only entailed was limited, right? It was constrained to a single department, which is front desk, and it was one or two bug fixes or feature improvements or enhancements that they made. Now that's one way of building software. Probably how it was done a while ago, but there is still a lot of places that still continue to do it that way. There are downsides, pros and cons of every approach. We'll talk about that. The opposite of that, to a large extent, are microservices. And again, the definition sort of varies, so you can look it up. But the way I look at a microservice is, if I were building an app for this particular hotel, they came to me, I would build it not as a single monolithic application. I would build it as a number of different apps that all coexist to solving a problem, a set of problems, right? So it's a suite of applications. Your front desk is its own application. Your kitchen has its own application, right? Your restaurant, your vending machine related stuff is its own application. Your housekeeping has a different application. Your parking and valet services have their own application. All of them have a problem to solve, and they have a lot of commonalities, right? Because they all work to solving the problems of this hotel and serving the needs of their customers. Understood? Even if it's a single hotel with no franchisees or not a large hotel group, even if it's not a chain, but it's a single establishment, still you can build each of them as separate microservices, which means before you go to deployment, which means if in our previous example where the front desk needed to make an enhancement or a bug fix, it's only that app that needs to be touched in this context. The other 10 microservices don't even have to be touched. They have been deployed. They're doing all right. There are no changes to those applications or microservices, so we don't have to touch them at all, which means they are not prone to regression. It's not possible that someone who made a change to your front desk application or your microservice actually could have broken the other apps because they don't even have access to it. They don't touch it, as it's not even in the picture. So it makes that part much simpler, right? That's one positive. Two is that fact that you can choose to build this particular service however that team wants to build it. Now it's given this day and age where you have a lot of different options in building software, whether you want to create single page apps or server-side rendering, or if it's JavaScript based, or if it's Dart, or if it's Java or Node on the server, or Ruby or C#, Python, whatever it is that you want to build, right? Each of us like to do it our own way to a large extent, right? So your team might have its likes and dislikes, and it's super all right because you want a passionate group of people working on solving these problems, and if you have them, then you're blessed, right? But people with passion have a lot of opinions as well, and sometimes you agree with them, other times you may not, but that's not the point. The point is that team of 5 people, even if it's a big company, if you break this down into microservices, that team could be a small percentage of the bigger, larger team. Now that team, let's say they love Python, or they love Ruby, or they love Java for whatever, right? Whatever stack it is, library or language it is. You want to give them the liberty to doing it that way because they'll be super productive, right? Because they like that language for whatever reason, and things change. They may like it today, their likes may change tomorrow or the day after. That's fine. Now, if you had this monolithic application, it's likely that all of it has to be built in this a single stack, essentially. Even if it has a lot of pieces to it, again, there are a lot of variations. You can clearly see where my preference is, but that's okay. We can solve problems in a nice way regardless of what we are presented with. But I just want to tell you that you want to give the team the liberty to pick their languages and frameworks and stacks and whatnot. So now with microservice, that's possible. And when you make a change, even as a company holistically, you say, hey, you have a change in direction, you want to go from one stack to the other, you don't have to rock the foundation, and it's impossible. If you had one big application, rewriting it is going to take a long time, and you're worried, so it never ends up happening. If it's a smaller services, as something becomes more obsolete, and you're not able to find resources to help you with those languages or frameworks or technology stacks, you can make these switches organically, and slowly you can say, okay, I have this microservice, let me rebuild this in the most current language, right, for whatever reason, because it solves a problem differently. Or all of your other apps might be doing single page rendering, and for whatever reason you feel like this department might be better served doing server-side rendering. Sure, you don't have to again change any of the other things, just change this one. Now that limits regression, your test suites become easier to write, and the whole 9 yards. And then when it goes to deployment to the DevOps team, they don't have to worry about deploying the whole app. So you're not going to have downtime either way. But even then, even if you deployed going through all the tiers, you go to production, you notice an issue. We all do, right? No matter how much you do before you get there, you want to minimize the amount of downtime, but it's impossible to eliminate it entirely. So not only downtime, even if it's not downtime, you might find certain types of problems. Unfortunately, the sooner you find them, the cheaper it is. We all know that. But if you do end up finding it in production, it's much easier to roll back a single service than the whole application. Again, when you have a lot of automation, it might sound like how different is it going to be between rolling back a monolithic application versus a microservice. Trust me, there is. It's not just what the code execution and what the machine does. It's what we as teams and individuals have to do to recover from some failure of that sort, right? So the microservices way of doing it is important, and the actual definition, I don't know what that is, but you also want to make them independently deployable. There are different flavors of microservices. Maybe I'll do a completely different video on that. This one I'm sure is already lengthier than what I would have liked for it to be. So maybe in there I can talk about a variety of different kinds of microservices and different kinds of monolithic applications as well, in maybe my next video. Thanks.